Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We are learning Mishnah's Kiddushin, Perek Dalet, Chapter 4, Mishnah Gimel Mishnah 13. The previous Mishnah was discussing the prohibition of yichud, of a man and a woman being in seclusion. Again, we're talking about it's a man with a woman that's not his wife, not his relative. And the Mishnah spoke about how one man cannot be in yichud with two women. And at the end, the halacha is not one man with two women, not one woman with two men. And now the Mishnah says like this, continuing on the subject. Lo yilamed Adam Ravak Seifrim. Adam Ravak means an unmarried man. An unmarried man should not be accustomed to teach Seifrim. That means to teach small children, teach young children. Why is that? Because such a position will bring him into constant contact with the mothers who bring the children to school. Now, if he's not, the Mishnah says this about a man who is not married. If a person is married, where his passions are not as strong because he has a wife, therefore it's not a problem for him to be this teacher of young children. But if he's an unmarried man, then we say he should not. Now, then it says, "V'lo yisalamed isha seifrim." A woman should not teach young children. She shouldn't be what they call here a school teacher. Why is that? Because the fathers who bring their children to school, and the concern by the woman is actually yichud. That's the concern. And they explain around the bottom, in the case of a male school teacher, there is no concern for yichud with the mothers of the children. It's not a yichud problem. And that's because men usually taught in a school where other people are present. It wasn't a situation of being in seclusion. No, the problem is, though, that if he's unmarried and he gets accustomed to being around the mothers, that's going to, arouse his passions, and that can make trouble. For the woman, the issue is, and here, by the woman, it doesn't even say she's she's married, unmarried, right? She may be married. Before we're talking about unmarried man. A woman, no matter what, shouldn't be the school teacher, as they explain. However, female teachers typically taught in their own homes. So there's a concern that she will be alone with the fathers. There, it's a yichud problem. May not be a problem of, that the woman's going to be around the men too much and, whatever problems that could cause for a single man to be around the mothers. But there, the problem is going to be a problem of yichud because the women did not teach in schools in those days. They taught in their homes and the fathers bring the children. That could create a yichud problem. So therefore, the Mishnah says the woman should not teach young children. Now, Rebbe Lezer says, "Af mi she'ein lo isha lo yilamed svarim." Seifrim. Even a person who does not have his wife with him should not teach young children. Meaning, let's say he's married, but his wife's not there. What does it mean she's not there? So the way they explained it here, very interestingly, from the Tosfos Yontif, is even someone who is married but has no wife with him in the school building should not be accustomed to be a school teacher. Because according to Rebbe Lezer, the concerns about the man, right, about, again, if he's going to being accustomed to being around the mothers because they bring their children, that's a problem even if he's married, but his wife is not with him, which according to Tosfos Yontif goes as far as saying that she's not in the same building as him. He also shouldn't teach children. That's Rebbe Lezer's opinion. Okay, so now, so we have this argument. We have this machlekes in the Mishnah. Now, so the Bartanura says regarding this argument itself, the halacha is not like Rebbe Lezer. The married man can teach the children even if his wife's not with him, but the halacha would seemingly be like the Tana Kama that the single man should not teach young children, nor should a woman teach young children. That doesn't sound like what we do nowadays. Because there are many men who are single and who teach in yeshivas, and there are women who teach school children in their homes. So without getting into it, they bring down here in the brackets for the practical halacha in this situation. See Igros Moshe, Eben Ezer, and Yeridea. Meaning this is discussed by the contemporary halachic authorities as to why nowadays this is not practiced. Okay, let's now begin the next Mishnah. We'll do part of it. It's a long Mishnah, so we'll do part of it today. And again, continuing on a similar discussion. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, this is Mishnah Yadal, Mishnah 14. Rabbi Yehuda says, Lo yireh ravak behema. According to Rabbi Yehuda, an unmarried man should not shepherd animals. Why is that? So that he does not develop a desire for the animals. V'lo yishnu shnei ravokim b'talas achas. Two unmarried men should not sleep under one cloak. Again, so that they do not come to sin. The Chachamim atirim. And the Chachamim permit. The Chachamim say we're not concerned about a man, even if he's unmarried, uniting with animals. We're not concerned about two men with two men together, and therefore the Chachamim permit what Rabbi Yehuda said is forbidden, and that's the halacha. Okay. Now the next part of the Mishnah says like this: Kol she'iska im hanoshim. Whoever's business involves being with women, such as his trade is he provides women's needs. He sells women's clothing, maybe he sells perfumes. So he is involved because of his business, because of his livelihood, he's involved with women. So any person like that, lo yisyached im hanoshim, should not be alone with women. Now, you'll say, no one's supposed to be that way. What does that mean he shouldn't be that way? So the point here is, and I'll read to you from how the article explains it, Mishnah 12 implied, meaning yesterday's Mishnah implied, that a man not be alone with one or two women, which would imply that he may be alone with three or more. The Mishnah says that may be true, except for the person we're talking about right now. The person who's involved with a person whose business brings him into regular involvement with women. There, even three or more women, he cannot be in seclusion with. Why is that? So they explain like this in the notes. Usually, if a man is alone with three or more women, there is no concern that he will sin with one of them because he'll be afraid that the others will tell people what he did. Meaning he may get two to go along with him and to sin with him, but not three. And then once he got three, there's a concern that someone is going to go and tell others what happened. However, if a man is familiar with the women because that's his business dealings, he will not be afraid to sin because they will cover up for him. And therefore, in that situation, even with more than two women, he may not go into yichud, he may not be alone with. And then the Mishnah says, a person should not teach his son a trade that requires him to be among women. Keep him into a trade, meaning, I guess there are some people at the end of the day, they end up selling women's clothing and perfumes and getting involved. But a person should not teach his son that kind of a trade. The kind of a trade that's going to get him involved with the women, as we said before, that is a trade that a person should keep his son away from. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi, and welcome.